Hi everyone, my name is Rose, also known as TA Summers. Welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, it's the first one in a little bit since I have uploaded any videos to my YouTube channel. So I have a number of different videos that I'm trying to shoot in one go. So this one will probably go up on Thursday as far as I know. I'm shooting this on a Wednesday, and I've had like a few setbacks in terms of being able to film and record some things. I've been focusing most of the month of October on catching up with some of my reading materials, and as you'll see in this video, there are some that I've been able to get to in terms of the purchases that I've made, but I haven't quite gotten through all of my TBR for October yet. So I'm hoping that by the time that I'm able to get this video up, I'll be able to knock off some more titles from my currently reading list. I'm currently reading between about 11 books, so it's slow going. So for this particular video, I wanted to go through all of my purchases for the month of October with respect to my book haul, and I have quite a bit to get to, so hopefully this video shouldn't be too long. I'm trying to keep it under 15 minutes if I possibly can, but depending on which books I am able to get to through this and also editing it down, then we're just going to go through each of these relatively quickly in terms of the books that I was able to pick up. So I'm going to highlight my audiobook purchases, my ebook purchases, as well as my physical book purchases for the month of October. To start with, I did not order any book of the month books for the month of October, so just to get that out of the way, I'll probably try to see if I can pick up something for November, depending on what the picks for the month are. So first, I want to go through each of the audiobooks that I purchased for the month of October. I purchased a total of 10. I'm going to go through these relatively quickly. So the first one that I have to highlight is one that I've mentioned in one of my previous videos in terms of my TBR for the month of October, and I'm currently reading this now. It is The Daughter of Dr. Moreau by Sylvia Moreno Garcia, and I have the audiobook of it now because I wanted to switch between that and the galley copy that I received from NetGalley. So I'm going between both of those right now. It's a retelling of the island of Dr. Moreau set in 19th century Mexico, if I remember correct. I'm enjoying it so far. I haven't gotten too far into it, but I really do enjoy like Moreno Garcia's writing style and overall the story art that it's telling. Second book that I picked up was actually an omnibus of different stories, and I mentioned in one of my previous videos that I love cyberpunk, so this particular audiobook appealed to me. It's the omnibus of 3 books called the Cyberpunk Saga, books 1 through 3. I think that's just the name of the series, and this is by Matthew A. Goodwin, and it's a compilation of 3 different books: Into Neon, Corroded Cells, and Digital Walls. And I'll put the different books on the screen here for your reference, but it's all in one collection. It's narrated by the same audio narrator, and I'm hoping to get to that soon. It's a new author and a new book for me. So the third audiobook that I picked up was The Golden Enclave by Naomi Novik, and it is the 3rd book in the Scholomance series. I have finished reading that as of the recording of this video. I have finished that particular audiobook. I'm not going to spend too much time on my reflections on it because that can be its own video and own tangent in terms of what I thought of it, but I was not the biggest fan of the Golden Enclaves for the respective Scholomance series. I did enjoy the first 2 books of the series with some unique criticisms about it, and I may get into what those criticisms were for the first 2 books, but the 3rd book I'll get into kind of like what the overarching story narrative arc was and what my thoughts about it were. But unfortunately, it was one that was a disappointing read for me. I gave it about 2 stars if I remember correctly, but I really did love the audiobook narrator for this particular series, so that was one part of it that elevated the experience for me. And I'm glad I was able to read it on audio, but unfortunately I wish that the overall book had actually been better. So the fourth audiobook that I picked up, what is actually a book that I have read before. It has been many years since I have read this particular book, but it is one that I enjoyed at the time that I picked up, and that is Moonheart by Charles DeLint. It is an otherworld type fantasy story, adult fantasy, featuring two protagonists who are running between worlds, and it features kind of like this smorgasbord of different aspects of otherworldly fantasy. I have not picked this up probably within the last like 15 years, so it's definitely one that I want to revisit, and I picked up the audiobook because I wanted to experience it that way. So, and I have the Audible credit to be able to pick it up, so I'm hoping to get to that soon as a reread, and I'll put up the cover up here for your reference. The fifth audiobook that I picked up for the month of October is actually Salvaged by Madeline Rue. It is considered a dark sci-fi fantasy thriller featuring a protagonist who is trapped on a ship with the ship's captain, and the crew of this particular ship is infected with a parasite. And this is one that really appealed to me in terms of the cover, in terms of the writing style, from what little I was able to glean from the audiobook sample, and also just the general themes of it really appealed to me. I'm hoping to get to this one really soon, but it seems like a really solid novel, and I'm excited to be able to pick it up. The sixth book is actually one that's familiar to a lot of people, but I have not fully read this book quite yet. It is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, and as anyone who's probably been following me a little bit, like probably not on this channel, but like from my blog, The Martian is one of my favorite sci-fi books, so I really enjoyed that. This is the first book of his I've picked up in a little while. Project Hail Mary is one that I've wanted to read for a little bit, so I'm hoping to get to that one soon and have a review up for it. The seventh audiobook that I have purchased in the month of October is The Depths by Nicole Lesperance. And this is a horror YA that is set on an island, basically featuring a girl who is spends part of her vacation on this island that doesn't want her to leave. And I'll put the cover up for your reference. I really like the premise and the overarching narrative style from what I've been able to pick up from this particular book. And not only that, the cover is really pretty and really evocative of the particular themes that are in this book. So I'm very excited to read it. I love YA horror, and I'm hoping to be able to pick it up soon. So the next book that I'm going to feature, which is the eighth book audiobook that I purchased in the month of October, it is Never Coming Home by Kate M. Williams. This is considered a teen mystery thriller, and it was recommended by books like Woe, who really enjoyed the overall book, and I was able to get that recommendation from her, and I'm excited to be able to read it because that's very much my vibe. I love teen mystery thrillers, and I'll put a picture of the cover up here for your reference, but I'm really excited to be able to get to it, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to get to it before the end of the year. The ninth audiobook that I purchased in the month of October is The Lucky Ones by Tiffany Rice, and this is considered an adult gothic horror and also women's fiction. I have had this particular book as a galley from NetGalley before, but I decided to get the audiobook version and go through kind of like a lot of my galley stacks for books that I have not had the opportunity to be able to either pick up or finish. So this was one that I wanted to get the audiobook narration for because I liked it from the Audible description. So I'm hoping to be able to get to that pretty soon. I love Gothic fiction. I believe I mentioned this in one of my other videos when I was talking about Rebecca being one of my favorite books. But Gothic fiction usually is totally my vibe, and I am excited to be able to get to this particular title. And the last book that I picked up in the month of October for audiobooks is one that I have as a physical copy. I am not exactly sure where it is, so I decided to get the audiobook narration for it, and I believe it's by Will Wheaton. This is Lock In by John Scalzi, and I made a note to myself that I wanted to read more of John Scalzi's work. I've read his work before, but I don't believe I've read Locked In. I believe I've read some of his other works before. I think Old Man's War is one that I've read from him before, but I have not read very many of his books, and I want to remedy that as soon as possible. I've talked about reading The Uncollapsing Empire before, and I wanted to do a reading of that particular series, but I have not had the chance to fit that into my reading schedule. So I'm hoping that if I don't get to it before the end of this year, that I'll start fresh in the new year to be able to get to that series. But Lock-In is another one that I've really wanted to read, and I wanted to really reflect on it and be able to see for myself how it is. So I'm excited to be able to pick that up. So the next several books that I am going to feature are the ebook purchases that I have had in the month of October, and the vast majority of them are adult romance, I believe. So I will go through these relatively quickly. This is a total of 8 titles, and I'm hoping to be able to get to these as soon as I possibly can. But I purchased all of these on Amazon for my Kindle. So I have a Kindle Paperwhite, so I usually read either through the Kindle app or my computer screen or the Kindle Paperwhite that I own. So just FYI on that. So the first one that I'm going to feature is Sweet Hand by N.G. Peltier, and this is an adult romance. The second one is June Reimagined by Rebecca Crane. I believe this is a coming-of-age adult romance. It may be a romance or it may just be a coming-of-age drama. It is set from the perspective of a college-age student. But the third one that I picked up in the month of October is Fake by Kylie Scott, and I believe this is an adult romance set between an actor as well as a waitress, and it is a contemporary romance. Fourth book that I picked up in the month of October for ebooks is Awaken the Dragon by A.C. Arthur, and this is actually one of the first adult paranormal romances that I've picked up in a little while. Now I'm excited to read it because it's about a half human, half dragon shifter, and I'm really excited to be able to read it. The cover is really nice. I'll put that on the screen here for your reference, but I think it was on sale when I picked it up. I'm not sure, 100% sure if it's on sale now. The fifth book that I picked up for the month of October is The Duke Identity by Grace Calloway, and that is historical romance, adult historical romance, and that was also offered on sale. I think that was actually 99 cents. I'm not 100% sure if it's still on sale, but just FYI. The sixth book that I picked up was Dirty Secrets by Regina Kyle. This is a Harlequin Dare title, and I'm kind of bummed that Harlequin, the overall Harlequin Dare line is no longer available in terms of making new books in that particular line. This was just a particular line that I wanted to pick up. This next one is not a Harlequin Dare title, but it is by an author who has published under Harlequin before. This is The Tycoon Summer Seduction by Claire Connolly. And that I was interested in this because it was a contemporary beach romance. And then the last one is also Harlequin Dare. This is Look at Me by Carol Lockwood. And so I'll put the covers respectively of each of these on the screen for your reference. So the first 2 books that I'm going to feature in my physical haul are actually both considered urban fantasy, adult urban fantasy, and I got both of these secondhand. This is Simon R. Green's Something from the Night Side, a novel of the night side. So this is the cover of the very first book in this series, and I'm not 100% sure how many books are in this series. I want to say it's something like 8 or 9, but I am not 100% sure. I will put up a description of how many books are in this series if I'm wrong about that, but I have read from this series before, but it's been a number of years and I wanted to revisit it, but I'm excited to actually have a physical copy of this now, and I hope to get to it pretty soon. The second one that I'm going to feature is actually one that I promised to read because it has a total of 7 books, I believe, in the series right now. And I had mentioned wanting to read the 8th book in the series because I got to ask Galley from NetGalley. So it didn't make sense for me to start with book 8. I wanted to start with book 1 in this particular series, so I was able to pick up all 7 previous books. Some of these are still on order and they're on their way to me, so I can't feature them in the video, but I can at least feature the first one in the series. This is Stephen Blackmore's Dead Things, and this is part of the Eric Carter series. Yeah, this is part of the Eric Carter series, and there's a total of 8 books. There's one that's coming out pretty soon, but there's 7 titles that are available right now. This is the first book in the series. I'm not promising that I'll have all of these read by the end of October. So unfortunately, that particular title that I put on my EBR might move into next month. But I'm hoping to at least start the first book in the month of October. I'm not sure. I'm just not sure when I'll be able to get to the latest one that's in the series. The next 2 books that I'm going to feature are both considered young adult titles. One of them is nonfiction and the other one is fiction. The first one that I'm going to feature is one that I picked up from my indie bookstore quite a while ago, and it is the paperback edition of this particular book by Raquel Vasquez Gilland. This is How Moon Fentes Fell in Love with the Universe, and this is the cover for this right here. And this really appealed to me because I am also a twin, and I'm hoping to be able to get to this pretty soon. It looks like a very nice coming of age story, which is totally my vibe, so I'm excited to be able to get to this. Next book that I'm going to feature is the nonfiction title that I mentioned, and this is a compilation of different stories by different authors, and I knew that I wanted to pick this up from my indie bookstore, and I'm really excited to be able to get to it as soon as I possibly can. This is the compilation Body Talk, 37 Voices That Explore Our Radical Anatomy, edited by Kelly Jensen. As you can see, this is what it looks like. This was listed under the banned, I wanted to originally read this during Banned Books Month because it was one of the challenged titles that were featured on a number of different banned book lists. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to get to it last month during Banned Books Week for September, but I was able to find the copy from my local bookstore, and I'm excited to be able to get a chance to read this. So we're down to the last part of this particular video. I have a lot of graphic novels and manga to share with you, so I'm going to try to go through them quickly. Next month, in the month of November, is the 30 in 30 manga challenge, which I believe is hosted by Shaegeeksout. And there are a number of different booktubers who are hosting the challenge. Links to all of their channels and their videos talking about the 30 in 30 challenge. But essentially, it's a challenge where you read 30 manga volumes in 30 days. It's sort of like the Bookish version of NaNoWriMo. And as someone who is also participating in NaNoWriMo next month, I'm going to have a lot on my plate. But I am excited to be able to participate in this manga challenge for the first time. So I picked up a number of different manga to be able to start that particular challenge, as well as, and I'm going to probably try to see if I can combine that with all the other manga that I own. So without further ado, I'm going to go through these as quickly as I can. So I actually think it's easier for me to start with the manga title. So we're going to go ahead and start with that, and then we'll get to the very last title, which is a graphic novel that I am reading for the current month for October as part of kind of spooky season. And I believe I highlighted that in my last video in terms of one of the titles on my TBR, but that'll be coming after I highlight this overall manga haul. So the first one I want to feature is a series where I picked up the first 4 volumes of a music group of guys who are in a band, and it basically follows their life and relationships throughout this manga. I believe there are 7 volumes available now, but I picked up the first 4. This is Given by Natsuki Kizu. So the first one looks like this. This is the first volume. This is what the second one looks like. As you can see, I really like the art style. This is really colorful and like nicely drawn in terms of the artwork. And it's a new series for me, like in terms of the author's work. I have not read from this author before, so this is my first time experiencing this. This is the 3rd cover. Let's see if you can see that. And then this is the 4th cover. So this is manga volumes 1 through 4 of Given. The next 2 books are from a series that I have read before, but I picked up the 2nd and the 3rd volume of this particular classic manga series, considered a shonen series, and I have loved this for years. I have actually read the first volume as a galley from NetGalley, and I'll put the first galley or the first volume of this particular series up here for your reference. But Fist of the North Star is one of my favorite manga series, as well as the anime. I'm very familiar with the anime. I've watched it many years ago in its totality, and I've really enjoyed the franchise as a whole. So what I did was, for this particular month, I picked up the 2nd and the 3rd volume. So this is what the 2nd volume looks like. This is Fist of the North Star. And the art is by Tetsuo Hara. I'm just making sure that this picks up on the ring light. And then this is the 3rd cover, as you can see here. So I have not revisited this series in quite some time prior to picking up the first volume, which I read as a galley, and I'll link to my review of it on my blog and on my Goodreads for your reference. But I'm excited to be able to get to the 2nd and the 3rd volume. I'm glad that they have been re-released in these beautiful hardcover editions. So it'll be a treat to be able to revisit this series from the beginning again. The last manga volume that I picked up was actually the first in a 2-volume collection. I am planning on picking up the 2nd volume of this collection as soon as I possibly can. I'm not sure if it'll be this month or if it'll be the beginning of next month. It just depends on how the timing works, but this is one that came highly recommended to me. And I know that it is has been fully released as several different books in the paperback versions, but I wanted to get the hardcover special edition specifically. So this is the first complete collector's edition, and it is heavy. This is A Silent Voice by Yoshitoki Oima. So you can see this is the cover. And it is a hefty collection, but it is so high quality, and I am really, really glad that I was able to pick this up. I'm hoping to be able to get through this first collection volume in the month of November, and also pick up the 2nd collection volume, which I'll put the cover of that up here for your reference. But these are 2, like, it's collected in 2 hardcover editions. They are rather pricey. I believe like they're each about like $44. So it just for your reference, if you're gonna pick this up, you can get both volumes. It's only 2 of them in the hardcover edition. So just FYI. And the very last graphic novel that I want to feature is one that I featured in my last TBR video that I'm reading for the month of October. This is Hollow by Shannon Waters, Brendan Boyer White, and Bernice Nell. And I talked about that in my last video, so I was able to pick that up this month. So I'm excited to be able to read through this. I still have a little bit of time before the end of October. I have not started it yet, but I'm hoping to get to this pretty soon, and it's just in time for spooky season. It is a unique retelling of The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. And that is it for my October book haul. Overall, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. and hit the subscribe button and notification bell to receive updates from me for more videos that I post on this channel. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next video.